as I was saying, they went to this quarto thing, a size in printing I'd never even heard of before. Don't know whether it was a new one or something, or one that was seldom ever used. But when they went to the quarto, they went to colour, of course, which was, so the colour was the improvement, but they lost the size. And the thing that gave was the news and views section. So you ended up with articles, but basically the news and views got smaller and smaller eventually, because I think people couldn't really have their say. They couldn't have their gas bag or, you know, flesh out ideas in the news and views section. Oh, look at that one. That's not bad. But yeah, because they couldn't, you know, there wasn't enough room to have a nice big news and views argument or gas bag about something that might lead to an article or something like that. So this idea of having colour photographs to help you with the story, well, if you didn't have the news and views, you didn't get the story, so the argument about the photographs just became null and void in a way. You had this potential to have wonderful improved colour photography, but no room to tell the story that went with them, sort of thing. Because usually the story starts off through that news and views stage. And I think this issue that's coming out now really highlights that. It's the one where we now have, we had a couple of years ago, we had the U-Trick man, Peter Taylor. He died, we had a special issue. Now we've got a special issue with two prominent members, two prominent obituaries in this journal. And what struck me is I know nothing about Eric Green, basically, except Eric Greeny Eye. And I'm thinking, had the colour quarto version started off and kept the news and views, and the news, and maybe it converted more to news and views than to actual articles, we could have had the news and views of Eric Green telling us about his travels combined with photographs, and we could have learnt things like, where did he discover this Eric Greeny Eye? You know, when did it, when was it in time, temporally? What was he doing at the time? Did he specifically go out to look for a new species? Or was he on the way to some place he'd known before, some conservation park, and he found it by the roadside or something? I don't know. That sort of locally topical information, I think that's been lost to us, or robbed in a way to us, from not having any historical news. So now you can't even go back over CPN and form like a review article. You know, CPN over the last 20 years, including the discovery of Eric Greeny Eye or something like that. I mean, he's dead now. He can't tell us, and he also can't tell us whether what we say about this thing is true or not, or whether he can add more extra information, because he's dead now. All that information, unless he's stored it on cassette or something, you know, posthumously for us to listen to cassettes or something, you can learn about the stories via spoken word cassettes from a man now dead. I don't know whether he had the foresight. I don't know what caused him to pass away, whether it was an illness, whether it was just the pressures of the GFC and it was some sort of, I don't know. I mean, it would be nice to know these things, you know. Oh, that's a nice one anyway. Look at that, that's nice. But the same again with, it's not John Hummer. Who's the other one that died recently? The one that started, I think did he start the WIP, the World Insectivorous Plants or something? You know, we got a lot of, or some of that story in the old black and whites, but when we came to the colour, that sort of information dried up, sort of thing. Where whittled away, sort of thing, because there was no news and views, sort of thing. It would be nice to know what happened to that, how did it die, and, you know, more detailed, and, you know, the gap between WIP and his recent death now. I mean, hopefully there'll be some in this obituary, but as I said, hadn't all this sort of stuff been in the news and views section over the years, one, we'd all have this knowledge roughly at our fingertips. You know, people like me, you know, you sit in the toilet reading CPN or something. You know, I mean, you would if it did have these news and views sections in them. You could go and do that. But now I know something happened in the 90s. As I said, this started in the early 80s and then went into the 90s, and they all went sort of pseudo-scientific sort of thing. I mean, the latest thing I've noticed is one of the articles recently, they said, the thing that got my gall recently was, they say they'd done this experiment 3 times and yet they didn't show a single photograph of a single experiment, you know, of this so-called procedure they'd done. And I'm thinking, you're bragging that you've done this 3 times and you don't even show me a photograph. Am I supposed to just take this on faith that you've actually done these experiments? And why did you know? I mean, the only time I ever did 3 experiments 3 weeks in a row was when I was working on ash, because we were so shocked by the results that we thought we were wrong. So that's why we did the experiment 3 times. I mean, if you got some reason to do an experiment 3 times over, then, you know, say the reason, and also why don't you show a photograph? Because you obviously think it's important to do it 3 times over. I mean, you don't want to waste all those chemicals just for nothing, do you? I mean, but that's what got me recently, was the gall of this statement. We did this experiment 3 times and they didn't even show a single photograph of even doing the experiment once. And I'm supposed to just take it on trust and faith that you actually did the experiment, or you really did all this, or... I mean, at least with my experiments, I mean, they may be backyard stuff, but I can still show you photographs of, yes, I did this. I may not be, it might not strictly be the total, the full truth, but, you know, I've got a photograph. You can see that I made an attempt, an effort sort of thing, and I'm not lying, and so on and so forth. You know, I can trust you because you can trust me, sort of thing, you know. But if you can't, and the whole point, as I said, of having this colour version was to have colour photographs and to show more photographs, and it's almost gone the other way. It's just padded out with articles with hardly any photographs, and yeah, it's almost like my childhood in the 70s. We all sat around saying, oh, you know, in the future when we're around 35, 40, the world will be a different place. You know, books will be available everywhere. They'll be packed full of colour photographs and they'll be cheap. And well, now I'm nearly 50. Well, yeah, they are everywhere. They have specky front covers. Quite a lot of them got specky front covers. Quite a lot of them hardly have any photographs in them. And they're certainly not cheap. So, and yet they churn them out by the bucket load, you know? Yeah. The idea that almost anyone can write a book, sort of thing, and you always have this struggle these days to actually get a book published. It's almost at odds with what they're saying. But anyway, I think this clip has gone on long enough. As I said, I suppose I've got to talk about something while we're walking. You know, you just get bored if I, you know, just keep looking left and right and we're not seeing anything, because, as I said, the swamp, I think, to the right is down there somewhere. I think I'm probably going to have to do that on the way back or something, because it's not quite apparent. I don't really want to go too far down there, because it's going to be, as I said, it's very sheer down there. You know, probably 50 degrees at least, maybe steeper. And as I said, it's just easier to walk along the ridge top, which was my original plan. But anyway, over and out for this clip. It's gone way too long, I think.